Tesla shares down about 10% off the earnings results. The conference call will kick off in just about a half hour's time. Let's bring back Loup Ventures Gene Munster. So, Gene, what do you still want to hear on the call?
Melissa, it's all about demand. They've got enough cash where that's not an issue for the next several years. And so this demand number, they reiterated the 360 to 400,000 number for the full year, but they did not talk about the sequencing of that number between September and December. So from the call, I'd love to see some clarity about, do they expect demand deliveries to be up in the September quarter?
All right. And finally, what's your grade for Tesla?
Better not be a B+.
minus.
Oh.
B minus.
I want to be in that
B minus.
class.
I think a lot of people would expect to have that this should be a C minus, and that, from my perspective, is really just focusing too much on the headlines. Yes, it was a disappointing on the 19% margin, but it still is a profitable. Gross margin is still positive for the vehicles, and I think ultimately demand is there. The gross margin is not as bad as people think, and cash is no longer, at least for the next few years, not an issue. So to me, that is a B minus.
All right, Gene, always great to have you. Thanks so much for all your time today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Gene Munster of Loup Ventures. Again, the conference call kicks off in just about 35 minutes' time. Grasso, what do you think happens? How do you think the stock?
I think it's going to be the opposite of Facebook. I think they have a vested interest in talking up the stock and talking up the potential. And I don't mean lying about it, but painting it with rose-colored glasses versus Facebook that's in a political environment that needs to dress it down.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more positive once we start hearing that conversation.
We also want to hit shares of Ford. This is worth noting because it's down by 6% in the after-hours session. Second quarter results missed expectations. So this is one we'll be watching very closely tomorrow. Tim? Concerned at all about GM on the back of this?
No, I think Ford's issues, I think a lot of this is China, too. And I think a lot of this wasn't really calculated correctly. We got some sense that the headwinds were there. That was where some of the profitability was coming. I think GM's exposure there. No, Ford and GM, we've seen as companies can diverge in terms of the story here. And GM, if anything, has made some difficult choices in terms of closing down unprofitable businesses. Doesn't change my view.
Here's a would you rather.
Oh, I like this game. Oh, boy. Is this a pick your poison or would you rather?
No, you see, it's a would you rather because I said.
A would you rather?
It's a would you rather.
Would you rather?
Right? Did I say pick your poison? I didn't say pick your poison.
I'm sorry.
Here's the game.
Makes sense.
Ford or Tesla here?
Ford or Tesla here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tesla.
Geez, yeah.
I mean, Tesla. It's crazy, I know, but given the choices of the two, Tesla. I mean, Ford has been grim death now for the last 6 years. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue to be so. Tesla.
Interesting.
I bet with my wallet, it's Tesla.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ford does nothing.
You guys are crazy.
When's the last time Ford? So it's barely double digits, right?
I mean, first of all, we know Ford's going to be in business in a couple of years. I'm not sure that about Tesla. So
we don't even know that.
Well, yeah. By the way, that free cash flow, I think, is a function of inventory sale. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and Ed McCabe is a research analyst that just sent me a note. That's what this is.
All right.
Name drop.